Hello everyone, and today is a good day to be a Tottenham fan because we are top of the league. Arsenal are bottom of the league. So welcome back to Speaking Spurs with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. Today we are going to be talking about the 1-0 victory over Watford that put us to the top of the league. We'll go through little bits about the game itself. We'll talk about the players as usual. And then if I've got time, I'll do a little brief bit about what's happening with some of our foreign players in the international break. Just a quick surmise on that. So let's jump into it. Welcome back to Speaking Spurs. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel to show your support. For those of you that want a notification about when the next videos are up live, you can hit the bell notification button that you will see somewhere below. So let's talk about it then. We are going into the international break, top of the league after, I know it's only 3 games and we don't want to get carried away and excited, as Nuno has told us not to. However, 3 goals scored, no goals conceded. Arsenal have scored no goals and currently sit at the bottom of the Premier League table. It's going to make us feel good. Although we're not going to get carried away, let's just enjoy it for a little bit. Why shouldn't we? For too long, like me growing up as a kid, I was abused by Arsenal fans about how bad we are. And, you know, we've gradually built our way into it. We've overtaken them to the point now where there's so many places between us. Never mind the old mind the gap. The gap is so big you can't miss it. So there's no need for the mind the gap posts anymore. But look, let's just talk about the game now. Was it the most convincing win in the world? No. Have any of ours so far been? No, apart from the Paços de Ferreira 3-0 win, which led us on to a 3-1 on aggregate and through to the next round of that with the group stages. But look, let's be honest, there was early chances for both sides. We set up fairly well, we absorbed a lot of the pressure, and as I said in the last video, Nuno would have a plan for Ismaila Sarr. That plan was, and I don't know if that's what he told the players, but it seemed to be the plan of, if he breaks with the ball, stop him any way you can. And that happened to be with, I think there was 4 Spurs players that actually picked up bookings for fouls on Ismaila Sarr. It's just not worth the risk. The guy's got pace. That would have been their way back into the game. That's the avenue they tried. And we managed to stop it. Yes, we picked up bookings. Yes, it wasn't the prettiest, but it worked. And that's the main thing. As for that, I mean, they didn't create too much. Sonny obviously broke the deadlock on 42 minutes, and as I said in the previous video, Sonny's goal record against Watford is quite impressive. I actually said to one of the lads at my football match in the morning, which we won 4-3, I said to him, if you're going to put a bet on anyone to score, put it on Sonny. I don't know whether he did in the end. I think he was looking at Harry Kane, but I said to him, trust me, Sonny will score. Sure enough, he did, although it wasn't intentional. He was trying to whip a ball into the box from that free kick. And we've had one like this from Christian Eriksen in the past. Put the ball in, it was a really good area, bend him round. The keeper is watching the players run in, and instead of coming out to claim the ball, in what would have been a dangerous area for him to claim it, he ended up not doing anything, froze, and then before he knows it, the ball's skidding off the surface, and it's into that bottom corner. Is it poor goalkeeping? In a way, yes. In a way, no. I can see why he didn't come and claim it, because it was in that pocket of space just between the players and the goalkeeper. And by the time the ball came in, it was quite a tight area. But you would have to say the goalkeeper has to deal with it because none of the players were getting there. So, you know, he took his eyes off the prize. The ball goes in. Sonny ends up getting an unintentional goal. And we are 1-0 up. You know, I feel for Barkman, really, but who cares? 1-0. Watford, they remained a threat as the game went on. Like, they did have, I wouldn't call them blatant chances, but, you know, they certainly had missed opportunities from Kuka and Sarr. That's probably not how you pronounce his name, Kuka. I'm not really bothered. Yeah, they had some missed opportunities. We had chances as well, though. We saw Dele Alli made one of his old trademark runs into the box late. Harry Kane played a nice cutback as he saw him going through, and Dele just miskicked it, and it went wide. But, you know, it's good to see him having that link-up play, bursting back into the box. It's going to take time for him to get back to, you know, the brilliance that we saw before, but he's certainly doing the right things to show he's on that trajectory. Then what else do we have? Kane as well. He had 2 opportunities that he didn't take fully advantage of. Not a massive problem. You know what Kane's like. He has this habit of not scoring in games. He'll go fairly quiet and then he'll bang in a couple. And that's kind of how he wins the Golden Boot. He'll have games where he goes quiet, then he'll smash in 2 in a game. That's kind of how Harry Kane works. But look, for us it is our 3rd straight win from just as many games in the Premier League. Nuno and Spurs, we have become the 1-0 specialists in a short space of time. We are the only Premier League team to win all 3 of our opening games. We've also conceded no goals whatsoever with that incredible defence that we all would have seen welcomed out the door of Dier and Sanchez, who, let's face it, they've been pretty good. They've done the job that we've asked them to do. Everything that has been put in front of them, they've pretty much dealt with. They've both been solid. Sanchez almost seems like a new player. He had nervy moments against Manchester City, which we would expect to happen. They're a class side. You're up against some of the best attacking players in the world, and they're all in one team, all coming at you at the same time. So he was shaky to start with in that game and then grew into the game. But I would say in the last 2 Premier League games, he's been impressive. He's done his job. If we talk about like Nuno, he's told us not to get carried away with it. Being top of the league, it means nothing. He said nothing is perfect. We're still trying to improve. He doesn't want us as fans to get carried away, which, look, let us have our moment. We're not going to get carried away. We're just going to enjoy the moment, knowing we're going into the international break, a set period of time where nobody can overtake us, and we're all good. So, let's talk about the players individually now. So the lineup was Lloris in goal, Tanganga and Reguilon taking up the left and right back spots. The combination of Dier, Sanchez as centre-backs. Then holding in midfield, we have Skippy and Højbjerg retaining their spots there with the left, and Højbjerg maintaining his place on the right-hand side of the 2. You had on the wings Sonny and Bergwijn. Sonny actually took up a place on the right-hand side quite a lot, and then went back over to the left side when Moura came on. And then, who else do we have? Ali and Kane. So, Lloris, it's really hard. The reason I don't do player ratings is sometimes they're kind of worthless, in the sense that Lloris, by definition of what he had to do, you would give him a low player rating of like a 6. He didn't really do enough to put him up to a 7, 8 or 9. Rarely anyone gets a 10. But the reason I don't do them is because Watford didn't really pose much of a threat, which means Lloris didn't have anything to really do all game. So you can't give him a high score for the pure fact that he didn't have anything to do. But at the same time, you can't give him a really low score because he didn't mess up in any sense. So he ends up getting a score that doesn't really reflect his performance because he didn't have a performance to make. So look, as I said, barely anything to do all game, and that's a compliment to our defence and midfield. Tanganga, he did all right again. I'd actually say he was better in the last couple of games, but I think that's because the opposition, again, like Lloris, they were more of a threat. Tanganga didn't have as much work to do. He got forward a couple of times, had some link-up play, actually managed to pounce into the box a couple of times, but certainly quieter than the last few games. Wasn't as tough in the tackle, or as OTT. Maybe he's been told to calm himself a bit, because the way he was playing, he's going to rack up bookings this season, and we don't want him facing suspensions. Dier had a header off the line in the opening minute, took a free kick later in the game. Wasn't a great free kick, it was actually very comfortable for the goalkeeper, but the main thing, it was on target, and unlike Harry Kane, Dier actually managed to get it over the wall. So, although we've got no proper dead ball specialists, I would say Eric Dier, and I've said it a few times in videos, he's probably the best person to take the free kicks, and I would imagine they will only get better the more he takes if nobody comes in to take those. Sanchez, he's becoming a bit of a block specialist, isn't he? Like, the one thing I've always said he's really good at is getting those blocks in. He really throws his body on the line. He blocked the shot from Sarr early on in the second half. But again, he did his job. He dominated most things that came his way. And the thing I'm impressed with Sanchez, look, when he came to the club, Pochettino said that he has all the makings to be a world-class centre-back, a top centre-back. And that's the player we put the money into when we signed him, somebody that could develop into that. He had a couple of rocky years, in and out the squad. You got to remember we had Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld that were taking up the mainstay of those positions, so he didn't get as much game time as he would have wanted, which would have hindered his development a lot of the time. And he was always better with Jan than he was with Toby, because Jan is a better leader in a conversational sense. But I feel like Sanchez, when he went away with Colombia, he had a really, really good Copa America, and they got a third place finish. He was very solid in that, and he's come back a different player. It's like he's gone over there and he's matured. He's come back and he's more of the player that we wanted. I'm not going to go as far to say he's sensational, but it's big improvements on last season, and he's cutting out those mistakes that he makes, like the proper wobbly moments. And Dyer's also cut his out as well. So for the time being, Romero might struggle to get into that back two to start with, because how do you replace two centre-backs that so far have helped the club sit top of the league and conceded no goals? It's going to be a tough one for Nuno to deal with. Reguilon frustrated me, to be honest. He had plenty of opportunities to get forward, just kind of lacked that quality once he was further forward. It's not the same player we had last season. Obviously, we know he had the injury last season. Has that affected him? I don't know, but his confidence looks like it's a little bit lower in that sense. His defending has been a little bit better. Going forward, he's just not been great on the ball, if I'm honest. Skippy, let's talk about Oliver Skipp. Good battle against Musa Sissoko. I was a bit shocked to see Sissoko playing, but I think that was a bit of a balls up by the Spurs hierarchy, allowing him to go, and Watford being able to get the paperwork in by midday, so he qualified to play. Although Skippy, in that battle, he actually come out on top more times often than not, and then Sissoko ended up coming off the pitch. So, yeah, I thought he was good. Energy levels, again, were good. Did a lot of covering. Again, he's going to grow as games go on. More and more game time to settle into the system, because he's very much set in the Norwich way at the moment. So, it's going to be a learning curve, and it's great to see that he's getting game time and staying on the pitch. Then Højbjerg, so he's operating on the right side of the two rather than the left this season. I'm assuming that's because Skippy's more comfortable on the left side of the two. And, you know, he had some good passing moments in the first half. There was good link-up play up at times with Harry Kane was slotting some great passes for. He's certainly more involved in the attack than he was last season under Mourinho. He still does his job defensively, and yeah, I mean, he was okay. So, who next? Talk about Dele. Good energy and looks fit. Was involved in a lot of play. Just lacked that bit of quality. Like the old Dele would have slotted that ball home from that ball from Kane into the box. But however, it's a process with Dele. He's had barely any football last season at all. Spent a lot of the times just sitting on the bench or not even in the squad at all. So again, this is going to be a process, him building his way back into the squad. But there's good signs so far. Sometimes his passing annoys me. He's very a bit like Ndombele's game, is very nonchalant all game. Dele Alli has this very relaxed style of passing. He tends to he has this weird foot movement where he flicks the ball round to make his passes. And at times it's great, but at other times it's really frustrating because he has a habit of under-hitting passes or playing them with... Yeah, he is kind of under-hitting them and not putting enough power in. So there was a few times where passes were intercepted because he just needed to put a bit more bite on them. And it was just a bit too relaxed, but... Look, he's getting there. It's a process. He's certainly not hurting the squad. His energy has been good. He gets about the pitch. Definitely does his defensive work these days, which is, you know, something I'm impressed with. Sonny scored from the free kick. As I said, it was unintentional. He was trying to put a ball in. Barkman just had a moment of, what do I do? Yeah, he had a lively start to the game. He kind of came in and out of the game. Wasn't his best performance, but again, it wasn't his worst. So, yeah, I think Sky Sports actually gave him man of the match, but I didn't myself think that he was. Bergwijn, he had his volley over the bar earlier on. Again, he worked hard. He's just lacking that killer instinct, and I think he's another one again that just needs time, because he had a decent amount of game time as the season started last season, and then Mourinho was reluctant to use him much as the season went on. He was very much a bit part player to come on and do the job that Moore ended up doing this time when he replaced Bergwijn. So, again, he'll get there. He will get there. He's got to learn to gel with these players again now, and it's very different because him and Dele both didn't play a lot last season, and you're going to see Lo Celso in and out of the side as well. So there's lots of gelling that needs to be done between them on match day because it's very different to a training session. Kane himself, quiet game from him. He had a massive cheer from the crowd when his name was called out before kickoff, so everyone's behind him. Look, he tried to create stuff. It just wasn't effective. It was just one of those typical Harry Kane days where things didn't quite come off for him. He was effective defensively, as he always is. Made some headers from corners outside of the box. And I'm sure with Kane, you know it's going to come. He's one of those players. He can have an off game and then bang in two in the next game. So, all in all, fairly happy with that. Moura came on. He had a couple of moments where he went past players, had some creative times. Then he had other moments again where he does his headless chicken runs into people. So, we know he's inconsistent. That's just the way it is, and that's the way it's always going to be. And then Hill came on as a late sub. No real time to do anything, so not much to talk about there. So, yeah, great news in all. Nuno will be ecstatic, although he downplayed it. It's the perfect start for him. Levy will be loving this, especially, with Kane staying as well. I think we are going to have to at least sign one more defender, and we'll talk about that now because of the international break. So, players going to the international break from South American clubs, certainly, and I believe the African clubs as well. We've got Romero, Lo Celso, Sanchez all heading to South America. Then there is Aurier, if he stays past the deadline of the window, which it's looking increasingly like he's going to end up staying at this stage. So they're obviously heading up to red-listed countries. Romero and Lo Celso have already taken their flight to meet with the Argentina squad. Then Sanchez and Aurier are due to take theirs probably today, I'm guessing. The problem is the rules state that they have to head to a government-approved quarantine hotel for 10 days when they come back. In special circumstances, they can exercise in a safe space, masks must be worn, and they will be supervised by security. Like, the problem with this is, certain countries you come back from, if you've got to isolate for 5-10 days, you can do that at Spurs Lodge, like Nuno had to do when he came into the club, Harry Kane had to do when he come back from holiday. And the luxury with that is that they have their own pitch out the back. They have proper training facilities to train on. They're not going to get that when they come back. So we run the risk of them not being able to train to the level they've got to. They've obviously got to wear masks whilst they were doing it, which is going to inhibit them slightly in how far they can push themselves. So the condition they come back in, who knows? I mean, they're still going to be fit. It's only 10 days, but in that 10 days, they're going to have to work themselves really hard. They're not going to be able to do a lot of ball work because they can't train with one another. They can't have visitors, so they still have to isolate as they're doing it. So it's purely going to be on their own with no equipment, and that makes it way more difficult. And motivation when you're on your own is completely different. So they'll be in a room that they can't leave other than exercise where they're supervised, but they've got Wi-Fi and stuff. But it's just going to be annoying for them because they can't see family. The Premier League clubs had all agreed they weren't going to allow their players to go, but I think the players' passion for playing for their countries, especially in qualifiers, they want to go. They don't want to lose their place to somebody else just because of COVID. And at some point, we have to put ourselves in front of something that is going to become like a regular flu that we have every year, which we have flu vaccines for. We've got to learn to live with this at some point. So I think Spurs, as well as other Premier League clubs, have agreed for the players to go. However, they will only play the first 2 of the 3 games to then travel back. So the isolation period that they have to do doesn't take them into too many games. So the way it looks is they might miss a league game and the Europa Conference League game, but they should be ready for the North. They should be ready for the London derby against Chelsea. However, it's annoying because Sanchez has obviously been an absolute rock, but what will happen is, I don't know if Rodon's going to be fit by that time, but it certainly looks like Dyer obviously will be here. So Dyer will play. Who partners him, I don't know. It's not going to be able to be Romero or Sanchez when they come back. Cameron Carter-Vickers is deemed fit again. However, I think we're going to be looking to move him out the door. So if Rodon's fit, I'd assume it's going to be Dyer, Rodon, or you would go with Dyer, Tanganga, and then look at the possibility of having Matt Doherty as your right back. That's the most sensible thing that I would say, unless he goes to 3 at the back, just for extra safety. So Dyer's got people either side of him, where in that case you would go Davies, Dyer, and then either Tanganga or Carter Vickers, depending on the situation we're in. And then either Carter Vickers or Doherty can play as your right back. So that's the situation on that. As for transfers, we'll see how it goes. We haven't got a lot of time left in terms of being able to sign people. So no doubt that'll be a busy couple of days, which I will report on. Apologies for the background today. I'm actually at work on my lunch break because it's the only time I can fit in a video today, because on my bank holiday, instead of being out enjoying myself, I'm working both my jobs in one day. So I'm going straight from this job straight to the next one. So I'm in the office on my break providing you with a video, and I will try and munch some food down with the 5 minute spare I'm going to have, because I've now got to edit this video very quickly now and then probably on my next little tea breaker later on. So there's the commitment for you guys. You know, I will make the videos for you as and when I can squeeze them in. But look, it's great to be top of the league. It's great for Arsenal to be struggling, although in a sense I'd rather it was a bit more competitive between us. We have got a game coming up at some point against them after the international break, so we'll see how that one goes. But things are looking good at the moment. Hopefully we can get some transfers over the line. Another centre-back would be great. It doesn't look like anyone's going to take Tanguy, so don't expect another midfielder unless we can get someone in on a free or a very, very low fee, maybe a loan to buy option. I mean, if we can get Basuma in, the guy is so underrated. Basuma is incredible. But look, we'll talk about them another time. Thanks for sticking around, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. Subscribe being the most important, just to help this channel grow. I mean, the more you subscribe, then I can start doing live streams. So, you know, you can join me at a set time and I haven't got to pre-record and edit and send to you. I can just, you know, talk to you as we go, which means, you know, once I've got enough subscribers, you know, lots of you watch these videos that aren't subscribed. If you subscribe, then we can do the live videos. And then as you're commenting during the videos, I can then read out your comments and answer them there and then. So that's a chance for you guys to get your point across and for other Spurs fans to hear what you've got to say, and we can discuss it, and then you can come back in the comments. And also I will then be able to invite people onto the live stream via video, Spurs fans, and we will have conversations. And it won't be like some of the other channels where I ask you to pay a monthly subscription fee to be able to appear on my videos or for your comments to be read out. It'll all be free. I will never charge people to come on here and have their views. I don't agree with making money for us to talk about our club in this way. So the more you support the channel, you know, the further we can take it. So thanks for sticking around, guys. Subscribe to the channel. I will talk to you soon. Stay safe, and as always, come on you Spurs.